Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. This is Authentically Uncensored. I'm your host, Bernadette Hernandez, and I wanted to talk about something that I have been kind of exposing for a hot minute now. If you know anything about me, you know that I've been on this journey since 2016. I burst onto the scene in 2016, and I've had, some kind of copycats come in and try to knock me off my square. Um, but I've stayed true to myself and I've helped quite a number of people. Okay. One of them saying that they thought they wish that they had taught this in school because I never make these long enough. So I'm going to attempt to make this longer, but of course, also being respectful of your time. Welcome to my returning listeners. I love you guys. And I also wanted to introduce my newer listeners to what my approach is. My approach here is just being off the cuff and just talking to you like I would talk to any other friend. Okay. When you're giving advice, when you are lending what you know to other people for the sake of looking out for them, you're not going to have much of a filter. Okay. And while you're respectful of the person that you're talking to, you also have to be very genuine in your delivery. So I think you'll find that my content is not performative at all. Okay. So I wanted to talk about a concept I call Frankensteining. I have talked about this back in 2018 or 2019. And I coined this phrase to talk about when people with no authentic personality cobble together pieces of others. And what does that look like? That means all of a sudden being into everything and being everything to everybody. Okay. I see this a lot with self self-proclaimed feminists wanting to occupy every male dominated space, not for the sake of being masculine themselves, but while they're calling other women pick me, they're being the pick me's. Okay. In all kinds of male dominated spaces. Okay. And they need to be seen there to be seen as a guy's girl instead of a girl's girl. While in the same vein, when they meet somebody like me that calls out women for doing what they do, being a woman that recognizes that, they call me the pick me and people like me the pick me. Okay. So I do see that you're going to see a lot of this in your everyday life after seeing this episode, okay, or listening to this episode. Um, so let's get started, shall we? A personal story about why this matters to me. I am currently dealing with somebody that does this, that is kind of the person that Frankensteins, that has no personality of their own, but wants to borrow from everybody else. And it's fine to be inspired, but there's a very big difference in being inspired and straight up copying somebody else's stilo, their sauce, okay? And then not, and if that wasn't bad enough, making money off of it. So it's theft. Any money that they make is blood money because they're not supposed to be making money off of what they stole from you, okay? So the definition and origin. What do we know about Frankenstein? Frankenstein's monster was basically Frankenstein was like a grave robber, okay? And he would take parts of other people in the grave, take them off, and put them together to his own thing that he created. See, that anything that comes from the devil cannot be created, it's fabricated. So you see in the Frankenstein's monster everything that's stitched up, trying to put things together that don't belong together. An arm from this person, a nose from this person, a leg from that person, all of that to make something that's not organic. Okay. And that's how I coined the term Frankensteining, because there's a lot of these types of people, and they're very narcissist and Jezebelian in nature. Okay. Now, the spiritual and psychological foundations of this concept. Okay. The spiritual, as I said before, anything that comes from the devil cannot be created. Okay. They take from what's already there, and what they take can't be full of life, so they have to take from death. Okay. So that's why you see a lot of these witches, they do a lot of graveyard magic, and some of that graveyard magic is taking things and grave robbing, and not just taking the dirt, okay, which is sacrilegious in and of itself, but taking the actual body parts. Okay. And if you know anything about grave robbing, it's basically if the person was buried with any kind of jewelry or anything, taking that, right? So lend that concept to when you try to take something from somebody that's living. And when you try to take something from somebody that's living, you're basically trying to rob somebody of their birthright, which lends itself into the theme of destiny swapping. Okay, so you can use Frankensteining with destiny swapping interchangeably. Okay, now why this differs from normal inspiration or influence. Listen, there's no such thing as something being the first of its kind. Somebody, if it's a great idea, the energy of it is going to be felt by somebody, and somebody is just first to get it there. Okay. And it's very different from being inspired by somebody, but making something completely your own, than just taking exactly what they did. And I'm going to use somebody famous. Okay. I call it Haley Biebering. Okay. She's the biggest example of Frankensteining, because she would take what Selena already made and stitch it on like the Frankenstein's monster onto her entire thing or legacy she's trying to leave. Okay. This is why she had to sell her company, because anything that's built on sand or no real foundation sinks. She had to sell her own company. So, Haley Bieber fans, don't come for me. Okay. But the facts are facts. Okay. I mean, I know, I know atonement and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that other A word other than atonement? Acknowledgement. There's another A word that's being used a lot. Accountability. That's the one. Accountability. Accountability is not your strong suit. It's like kryptonite to you guys. You keep away from it like it's poison ivy. But I've always maintained that you are who you follow. If you defend somebody like a Haley Bieber or a Huda Mustafa or any of those types of people, you are essentially that person, because you can only defend what you resonate with. Okay. Now, signs someone is Frankensteining. Okay. I'll give you personal examples. I'm a poet. I have been asked to speak. People know my work. I've written a poetry book. I have somebody that I'm dealing with who is kind of the inspiration for this episode that has been trying to copy me. Okay. I literally have in my chart that I'm supposed to be dealing with a career in communications, whether that's writing or podcasting or any combination of the two. Now, I have done both. Okay. I do have a podcast that I've recently gotten back into because life happened and I had to kind of abandon it for a year and apologize. I apologize in advance for that. But I also wrote two books in that time. Okay. So the fact that this woman, after she has literally said that she doesn't need a good command of the English language to be successful, now all of a sudden wants to, because if you know anything about this woman, she's approaching her mid 30s, and the clock starts ticking a little louder every year that passes by, okay? When you haven't accomplished certain things, you've never lived on your own, okay? You simultaneously, in the same breath, mock Christianity while being under the covering of your Christian parents. How does that work? And simultaneously can't leave your own house and live on your own and pay your own rent, because whatever entities you're using to get this so-called success, to rob it from other people, you're going to have to deal with on your own. If you leave that house, you're removed from the covering of your Christian family. And simultaneously, you know this, and subconsciously, you know this. This is why your anxiety won't let you live on your own. You drag your family everywhere you go, trips and everything. Okay. You don't do anything on your own because you're afraid to live on your own, because you know it'll be just you and those entities, and you won't have that covering anymore. And these are facts. Signs someone is Frankensteining. This is why I tell people, do not reveal what you plan on doing. Do it in silence and just drop it. Just launch it, so they don't have a chance to thwart you and your efforts and simultaneously try the destiny swap. Just whatever you're feeling to do or getting inspired to do, just do it. Okay? Because they can't get into your thoughts. Your thoughts are protected by God. Okay? But if you're announcing everything, that's they only can operate when you declare things with your tongue. Okay? Or if you put it out there on the internet. Okay? So if you're not revealing anything that you're doing, they won't have any idea, but they will try to get you to reveal. How do they do this? By making baiting posts, by making rage bait posts. If they know that you are a deeply religious person, they will openly mock Christianity if you're a Christian, to get you to reveal something that you're doing. Oh, but I was told by God that I need to do this. Don't don't fall for that tactic that they do. Okay? What you and God have talked about is your business. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't get looped into their trap, because they will use rage bait posts, knowing that you are fiercely defensive of the faith, to get you to reveal what God revealed to you. God will let you know when it's something that you were supposed to reveal. I'll give you an example, like with this woman that I'm dealing with. I was told by God, quote unquote, she can make them come, but she can't make them stay. Now, you take that how you see how that means. Now, God is not vulgar. What I basically had surmised that as meaning is that she can make them come, she can make them attracted to her, but she can't make them stay. And if you want to get a little vulgar, okay, my own interpretation of it is she can make them come, meaning, getting to that point, but she can't make them stay. That she can have the relations, bed relations with them, but she can't make them stay. So, in other words, her sexuality is not enough to keep them there. Okay? Because there's a lot of these types of women that think that their parts are so golden that it's enough to keep a man there. Okay? And they use that, you know, womb magic, quote unquote, okay? Yoni magic, quote unquote, to keep the man there. Okay? Now, patterns. Following somebody else's success. They can't move unless you do. What does this look like? Content mimicry without understanding the deeper meanings. Posting things without knowing what the deeper spiritual meaning is. Platform copying without any original contribution. So if you have a podcast, they want to have a podcast too. If you're writing a book, they want to write a book too. And a lot of these, especially if they have Aries in a very specific area of their chart, whether it be their moon or in their Gemini, okay, or in their communication sector, okay, um, they want to do things first. And when the person that they want to compete with, i.e., you, does something first, especially when it has something to do with putting on an air of intelligence, intellect, wisdom, depth that has nothing to do with physical beauty, they want to mimic that because they even know that beauty does fade. They're not stupid, okay? So what do? They try to mimic you. It was fine not mimicking you when it came to beauty when they were still young enough to do it. But now that they're getting older, now they got to copy you. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I'm going to give you an example again. I have this podcast. I've had it for a while now. I have about 13, 14, 15 episodes under my belt here. This person that's been copying me, I want to have a podcast. I want to have a podcast. I have so much to say. Meanwhile, not a single episode has been uploaded. Not a single one. If you're so vocal and you have all of this to say, how come not even an introduction at this point? Nothing. Complete crickets. And if you look at the metrics, the vanity metrics, about 13 people out of her close to 50,000 or so followers across all social media are interested in hearing what she has to say. The rest just want her to stay pretty and shut the fuck up. What does that say? I don't have to be pretty to do what I do. Being pretty is not a prerequisite. Being beautiful is not a prerequisite. So what does she do? When the physical part can't be monetized anymore, now you use other parts. She knows that podcasting is voice only. So she uses her siren abilities to lure with her voice. That way, she can fade into beauty obscurity, but she still has her voice to try to lure you in. Now, I don't have a siren voice. My voice could be a little nasally and a little jarring and a little crass a little bit, but it's not the tonality and the way it physically sounds. It's what you're getting from it. That's what makes my voice powerful. And this is why they attack my throat. Because if it wasn't powerful, why would you be attacking my throat? Hmm? No other part of my body but my throat, right? And I'm a Taurus. I rule over the throat. Hmm? Okay. So let's continue. Let's talk about the spiritual emptiness that reveals itself in their work. Hmm? Posting things and not following through. In the real world, in a real career, they wouldn't be able to do that. But they get away with that here online. If you're going to post something, you got to follow it up in the real world because you have a supervisor you have to answer to. These types of people would not fare well in the real world. If it came down to it and they couldn't do this anymore, which at some point they're not going to be able to, and it's going to be so much harder for them to enter the job market. And we all know how the job market is. Okay? It's hard out there. We all have our blessings, and thank God, thank you, Jesus Christ, for everything that you have given me. But it's hard out there. So people like her would not fare well. They wouldn't survive. When you can't market beauty and spirituality anymore and funnel that into every one of your ventures and every one of your sources of income, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? You're already in your mid 30s still living with your mama and your papa, while simultaneously mocking Christianity, but never wanting to really leave because you're afraid of leaving the covering. Whatever little Christianity is still in you, no matter how much you mock God, there's still that little kernel of Christianity in you enough to know that you can't leave, because you're fucked if you do. I mean, you're fucked. And please let me know where the lie is here. Now, my mom, the matriarch, helped me recognize these patterns, because it's like we would have a lot of discussions about this kind of stuff. And even though she wasn't into the spirituality thing that I was, and she would even say, I don't particularly like this stuff. It kind of scares me and everything. But whatever she had as the maternal part of this family, whether she wanted to do it or not, that gift was in her, of prophecy, of discernment, and I got it from her. Got it from Jesus, actually, but it had to come through the bloodline, okay? And she had it too. And she helped me recognize these patterns. Why do people do this? Why do people destiny swap? At the very core of this, these are soulless people. These are people that are basically siphoning off the protection from Christian people. And I see a lot of this. There's a lot of these witches that have a Christian family, that they are benefiting from the covering. Why do you, as a witch, own a Bible? Why? What is the point of you owning a Bible? Why? And you flip to Psalms. Psalms are songs of praise and worship to the Most High. Why are you up in that section of the Bible? Why don't you go to the New Testament where Jesus's words are? But then when you do that, you try to twist his words. He's very clear in what he says, and what he says goes. I'm a sinner too. So anything that I broke as far as his commandments, as far as his way and truth and the life I'm supposed to live under him, I'm going to have to atone for. I ain't perfect either. I never will be. But I know him enough to be able to warn you not to make the same mistakes, because I love you that much. And fundamentally, basically, that's what a Christian is supposed to do, no matter how imperfect they are. We're supposed to warn each other because we love each other, right? If you saw somebody coming and running behind you with a fucking knife in their hand, about to stab you in the fucking back, well, you're just gonna let the person stab you? Or you're gonna let that person rather stab the other person that you see coming up behind them? No, of course. You're gonna say, get the fuck out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of dangerous way, which is what scripture is giving you the warnings, telling you how these people operate, and you're ignoring it. This is, I can place the food in front of you, but I can't make you eat it. Okay, I can place this stew in front of you, and while it's still hot. But if you're taking a year to eat it because it's too hot for you to handle, blow on it so that it can go down, right? But still consume it. Anyway, why do people do this? It's because of a lack of authentic connection to self. They don't know who they are, so they borrow from everybody else. And they also fear not being recognized or valued. With the case of this woman, now all of a sudden, beauty is not enough. And I've said it. She better hold on to that beauty and sexuality as long as she can because she'll starve if she doesn't. So, what is she doing now? Desperate to be seen as something other than a pretty face. And it has even posted that. They have a spiritual emptiness that needs filling. So they grasp at straws. They have this narcissistic need for attention at any cost. They don't care what kind of attention they get, positive or negative. They like the haters and they like the supporters. They like them both because they're both giving attention. And social media is the perfect breeding ground for this type of person. It cultivates that type of narcissist, feeds it. How this affects other people and how to protect yourself. First and foremost, if you know for a fact you're supposed to do something, especially something that completely differentiates you from this other person, like let's say that this person has used beauty and sex and youth to fund their lifestyle and funnel it into every venture that they have, every moniker that they use, every incarnation of their name is either mommy or beauty or this or gothic or thick or this or some kind of relation to sexuality or beauty. But then notice that when they try to do something that has nothing to do with that, crickets. With the glaringly obvious, only 13 followers, and one of them being her. Okay, so that's really 12. Okay, 12 out of close to 50,000 across all social media platforms that accept and know this person. 12 out of close to 50,000. 12 are interested in her thoughts. 12. The rest of the 50,000 or so is only interested in her continuing to be beautiful and sexy. And that's all she has to offer, according to them. That has to be painful because it's not sustainable. Even one of the most beautiful known sex symbols that was known for beauty and sex, Pamela Anderson, couldn't maintain it. Now, there are people that say that, she's beautiful in her old age and everything. Listen, I'm going to be completely honest. As an older woman myself, the older you get, sometimes, you need makeup in order to look a little more alive. Okay? She has not aged well. She has not. And I think a lot of it has to do with her keeping the thin eyebrows. I think if she had thicker eyebrows, it would make her look a little younger because thicker eyebrows make you look a little younger. It's just facts. Look at any beauty magazines, they will tell you this, okay? The thin eyebrows, especially thin, you can't keep the thin eyebrows of your heyday and not look older when you're older. So you should stop over plucking or electrolysis or whatever the hell to keep those thin eyebrows. Make your eyebrows thicker and you can look a little younger. Because thin eyebrows, when you have nothing going on the eye area, especially when you have light eyes, she has green eyes, it does make you look washed out. See, but whenever we as women point this out, then we're pick me's. Then we're not being pro woman. So I can't make observations. I come on here with no makeup. Yes, I look older, and I'm very aware of that. But my work here does not require me to be beautiful, like being known for being a sex symbol. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. If you're trying to be spiritual while being a sex symbol as well, how are those two things going to work? You're a Jezebel. Now, there's a frustration of seeing your work being copied, but also a kind of a smugness as well, at least personally. Like, look at you trying to be me. I'm obviously the blueprint if you want to copy me. You don't want to copy the way I looked until recently. I've been wearing glasses since 2018, 2019. And now I need them even more, okay, because I've been using them so much that my eyes have kind of like, with age, they weaken, okay? And I've been using glasses for a hot minute now. All of a sudden, she's using glasses now, too. Are you fucking kidding me right now? 31:13 on the clock as I said that. Really? Really? You don't like me, but you want to look like me so that that part of me you want to borrow from this Frankensteining process you can use to make more money, right? You can try to copy my sauce, but it's never going to taste the same because you don't know exactly how much salt, how much pepper, how much adobo, how much recaito sofrito that I'm putting in. You don't know how much I'm using, how much God told me to put in. So your sauces, your salsita is never going to taste the same, ever. Setting boundaries with these types of people is not always an easy task because whenever you call them out, especially when they know that you're the person that they're copying and you call them out, and we call it subbing. I'll give you a particular example. Me and this person were going at it on Twitter, now known as X. And as soon as I said, listen, Miss Moneybags, you're the one making all this fucking money. You book the plane ticket, you come over here and we can handle this like women. All of a sudden, no more Twitter account. Move to Threads. Hmm? So you have a big fucking mouth, but then somebody with a bigger mouth challenges you. You delete your fucking account? That's not Aries energy. That's not big Aries energy. I'm not so fucking scared of you, bitch. Not so much. Not at all, actually. Because according to what I've seen, I'm actually Aries too. But I'm a true Aries. I'm a true Aries. Now, if this is the case, and the original Western version is wrong, and I'm not a Taurus, but I'm an actual Aries, and I'm dealing with an Aries enemy, rival, hmm. I got Scorpio in my chart, Libra in my chart. You're fucked. And I have a Mercury in Gemini. Fucking fucked. If you're trying to do this podcasting thing, baby, please make your original episode. Please. Because you're making the content for me. These people don't realize that they give us plenty of fucking material. And you can recognize your own spiritual gifts through who you resonate. You are who you resonate with. So avoid the Frankensteiners in this thing. They have nothing to offer but bits and pieces of what somebody else already taught, trying to pass it off as their own divine wisdom. If you're mocking the divine, how are you divine? If you're mocking the very people that are protecting you under their own shielding and covering of the blood of the Lamb, and they know on some small aspect, deep down inside, they can't leave that covering because they're fucked if they do. Those demons will get them that they're using. Everything that they're using to amass the following, amass the money that they're making, claiming that they make six figures, which is not the fucking case. If you're a tarot reader, like every other tarot reader, even the most popular, well-known ones, are not making six figures. So how are you making that six figures? How are you stipending that deficit to make it six figures? Being from what we know about you that you're beautiful and sexy, how else can you stipend that? Mm, mm. Before you get too old to do so? I'll leave that for you to fill in the blanks. Okay. I pray that the discernment of Jesus Christ covers you all so that the scales can fall from your eyes. This I pray in Jesus' name. I pray, amen. Thank you for joining me. Love you guys, and I will see you next week.